Welcome to the lab at CTGen in San Jose, California. Today we are going to demonstrate the use of our MOP purification columns with the 96-well high-throughput manifold system. For the convenience of shooting this video, we are not working under a hood, but for safety purposes this is required. Now let's get started. You will probably be taking your oligos from the oven. If so, let them cool down to room temperature. For setting up your high-throughput manifold system, see our MOP manifold setup video. To the side of the manifold, we have set up the buffers that we will use. The binding buffer, also called MOP buffer, is set near the oligos. To the other side of the manifold, in order, are the priming buffers, the washing buffer, the DMT removal buffer, again the washing buffer, which we put in a separate container to avoid pipetting errors, and finally the elution buffer. The MOP purification process is a series of 7 pipetting steps. Adding first MOP buffers to the oligos themselves and mixing them. Second, adding priming buffers to the MOP columns. Third, adding the oligos to the columns. Fourth, washing the columns. Fifth, detritylation. Sixth, a second washing of the columns. And finally, the elution of the oligos from the columns. So, now let's go through the steps one by one. Step 1. Add the MOP buffer to the oligos. Sent along with your MOP columns is a protocol for purification. Listed in this protocol is the amount of buffer to be pipetted with each step. Using this protocol, pipette the MOP buffer into the oligos. Let the oligos sit for at least 5 minutes, but no longer than 30 minutes, as you prime the columns. This allows the reagents to mix well. Step 2. Priming the columns. Pipette the appropriate amount of priming buffer 1 into the columns. Now turn on the pump and wait 1.5 minutes while the buffer drains down through the MOP fritz and into the waste container. Repeat the process with the second priming buffer. Wait 1.5 minutes for the buffer to drain. And turn off the pump. Step 3. Adding the oligo. Load the oligo mix into the MOP columns. Now, this next step is optional. You can either drain the oligos into the waste, or, this is suggested, take the lid from the manifold box, remove the waste container and replace it with the plate of oligos from which you have just pipetted. Replace the manifold lid. We want to collect the pass-through from the oligos into the original plate of oligos as a precaution. Turn on the pump and wait for 1.5 minutes. When the oligos have passed through, turn off the pump and remove the original plate of oligos. Then replace the waste container. The oligo should now be on the MOP columns. Step 4. Washing. Pipette the washing buffer 1 into the MOP columns. Turn on the pump. Wait for the buffer to drain into the waste container, about 1.5 minutes. You do not need to turn off the pump before the next step. Step 5. Detritylation. This step is performed 2 times. Add the DMT removal buffer to the columns. Wait for the DMT removal buffer to drain to the waste container. Repeat this step again. Step 6. Second wash. Perform 2 times. Add washing buffer 2 and wait 1.5 minutes. Repeat this step again. Now turn off the pump. Remove the waste container and replace it with the empty 96 well collection plate. Final step, elution of oligos. Pipette the elution buffer into the MOP columns. Turn on the pump. Wait just 15 seconds. Turn off the pump. Allow the elution buffer to reconstitute with the oligos on the MOP fritz for 30 seconds. Turn on the pump. After 1 minute, place your finger at the end of the vacuum control valve for increased vacuum pressure for final flush. Congratulations! Your oligos are now purified and are ready to be read for OD and dried down. The used MOP columns can be washed and reloaded. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and understand CTGen's MOP purification columns. Please see also MOP purification video demonstration with single manual syringe. For more information, visit ctgen.com.